Thanks to artificial intelligence, the future of wheelchairs is literally just robotic legs. AI video now has highly intelligent camera movement controls. Boston Robotics dropped some highly realistic robotic movements coming from Atlas. And then right after that, their highly intelligent robot unpacking arm called Stretch. China just resurfaced 100 miles of freeway only using AI-powered robots and drones. Andrew Tate took his shirt off to narrate his brother racing a robot to make origami swans. Marques Brown got a chance to test out the meta glasses that aren't ever going to be publicly released, and it looked actually pretty fun, to tell the truth. Jim the AI Whisperer forced ChatGPT to be non-verbal, and it still figured out how to communicate by blinking yes or no, like a hostage. Singularity Hub published an article that had a better way to think about AGI. Meta developed a touch perception specific optical system with a wide field of view, aka a robotic finger. The idea of scent teleportation was first something I didn't even know could exist. Now I know that it can exist, and it does exist. For those interested in a career in AI, I'm going to list off 4 job opportunities that you might be interested in. Business Insider is reporting that Google's share of searches might drop below 50% for the first time in a decade. There's a new video game where participants herd virtual cattle, and it's totally upended science's understanding of human decision making. There's a really interesting project to fit drones with internal nervous systems so that it can check on itself to see how its own health is while in mid-flight. Lanny Potter argues that we need more anthropologists in the AI alignment space, and I totally agree with her. Yuval Harari is trying to get people to think more of AI as an alien intelligence and not just a tool that we're building. And I found out that there's 3 senses of the quote, "What now?" But first, make sure to click right underneath this video where it says Patreon, open that up in a new browser, and support the channel if you like this kind of content. Or if your credit card's already hooked up to the YouTube ecosystem, just hit that join button right there. All right, so first, you gotta see these cool robotic legs that people in wheelchairs can now get into. Good for this guy with his new invention, legs, that walk on their own and they can walk to him, and it's built in a way that he can get in from his wheelchair. And I just think this is such a cool use of technology. So the company is called WalkON, the suit is called the F1, and it is a powered exoskeleton designed to walk and balance independently. Look, that's just gotta feel good. I mean, I understand he might not have the same kind of mobility that somebody with completely working legs are, but look at that, he's throwing off those... Wow, he's throwing off those, whatever you call them, balancing canes. There we go, that's the word I was looking for. And he can walk and get around. You know, maybe that kind of thing could be built into a car in the future where, you know, you could just get out. To be honest, the future of mobility for people who have disabilities is going to be bright, and it couldn't come any sooner. All right, Runway, you know that every couple months you got to drop something that blows everyone's mind, and you did it again. Look, there is something really powerful that just media creation never really had before. This is a digital image. It was dreamed up from a text-to-image model, and now we have fine-grained control over the different camera movements that make a video. I mean, this is in real life. You're like, I'm going to zoom in on your face. You look sad, and then we'll come around, and that'll be perfect for the story. You can create all of that digitally at your laptop without having an actor, an actress, a camera. Can you believe how much directing and imagination can be put into these things? I mean, obviously I'm super worried about all this like deep fake and things like that, but this tool in particular struck me as very creative, and I'm just kind of surprised how powerful it is, and I never even really thought about a tool like this before now. Look at this sushi plate. That's incredible. I mean, the sushi stays realistic, although I did notice when it pans down all the way, the plates in the background are like different plates. But, you know, these are small things. The kind of impression that I'm getting now is that it works and it's convincing. I mean, here we're rotating all the way around this guy's face and there's a forest. Like, we start at the beginning, we do a full 180. Absolutely amazing. The jacket stays in place. The face seems like stable and real. This quick zoom out from that restaurant into this like destroyed like superheroes probably just fought their parking area is that's cinematic. That's just freaking cinematic and cool. I mean, that's a real expensive CGI project last year. Just period. What is this? A llama as a cop? Oh wait, or just riding a cool car? Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's going to get fun. I don't know where that second seat came from, but I mean, imagine a narrator talking over this in like Lord of the Rings style. Like, there were once 3 1,000 elves that lived here until Sauron came and yada yada. Dude, it handled the cars and the reflection pretty well. The reflection on the floor looks great. Slow tracking shot to set the mood. Dramatic zoom in through locations. Man, it really feels like I'm inside of a 3D program, like 3D Studio Max or Cinema 4D or something. But I'm not. It's all just being generated through Runway ML. That is fascinating. But if real life is more of your thing, I got some breakthroughs in artificial intelligence and robotics for you also. 3 days ago, Boston Dynamics dropped a pair of videos on us, both amazing in their own way, but probably this one with the new Atlas, just sorting packages, moving around, completely humanistic. The joints, the actuators, the head movement, the walking gait. I mean, all of that is starting to look super, well, okay. Actually, I didn't expect his torso to rotate that way, but he's a robot. He can move in ways humans don't. But I would say it's very human, and it's also very efficient in ways robots can move that we can't. But I mean, like, tell me these things aren't going to be stocking the shelves at your local Costco soon. I mean, to me, taking objects out of this rack, this sort of really tight shelf, feels like a very human thing. I mean, it's not a great way to grab an item that thin, like a pizza box, basically. But, you know, Atlas is able to turn his hands in just the right way, put the right amount of pressure, turn it vertical, and then slot it into place. Like, I mean, there's a lot of ways to mess that up, and Atlas is not messing up. So the other video they dropped is no less impressive, although less humanistic, so it might not seem as impressive, but this robot's called Stretch, and it can unload trucks, which is really a tough job. It has to understand all sorts of different shaped boxes and has to accurately put them onto these conveyor belts, and it's a really important upgrade in like the world of logistics. And there it is, working with not superhuman accuracy, but human accuracy and an incredible work ethic, a superhuman work ethic, we could say. So it's about time to start rethinking the way all these facilities are built with this kind of labor. Definitely worried about how it's going to affect a lot of jobs over the next couple of years. Oh, actually, the next article is probably even more impactful for jobs. This is a small fleet of robots and drones that are working together to resurface roads, and they are making a lot of progress. In China, for the first time, they have finished over 100 miles without a single human actually doing any part of the entire resurfacing of the freeway. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of humans like watching this. We're still in like the totally test area and stuff like that. But it shows that without human intervention, just oversight, and as these systems become more and more and more autonomous, there will be less and less humans doing things, but they're not doing the actual labor that they used to. They're not driving the trucks. They're not dropping the tar or whatever that is. They're not measuring things. The drones in the sky are doing it all. I mean, just look at them going back and forth like that all day long. These autonomous road surfacers. I mean, it's one of those funky things you don't think about in the future, but that'll be nice. All right, so there's a robot surgeon video that's kind of going viral to show off just how precise it can be. The original video has an artificial intelligent powered robotic hand that can actually fold origami with these like little needles, right? But little did we know that a video like this was going to threaten Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan. Now, of course, being the manly men they are, they were not willing to back down from the challenge of who could fold an origami wand better. And if you're wondering how precise is artificial intelligence, how incredible are its origami skills, I'll just give away the ending. A shirtless Andrew Tate was very disappointed in his brother. So YouTuber Marques Brown got a chance to put on glasses that none of us are going to get to put on because Meta is only giving them to like big celebrity type. So this was the one chance to see someone that I kind of like know and trust and does thorough reviews of these kind of products and isn't just like paid by Meta to do it. And I'm going to trust him when he says it was a pretty cool experience. And I won't lie, I'm pretty jelly. I think something like this is something I would really like to buy, and I can't wait for the software to get there. This is like a Pong style game that him and his friend were playing, and he said that it really did seem like true pass-through, which it is. You're actually seeing reality around you, and just having that game augmented on and then adjusted with the mathematics to make everything feel like it's got the right depth, and two people actually playing in real time at the same time, and the game actually working just seems kind of fun, you know? Like Pokemon Go, but without having to hold your phone up, but actually just looking around and having information augmented, and especially when artificial intelligence can start feeling out the patterns of what you want. Like imagine that it knows what time it is, and it's like, oh, Dylan's probably getting hungry, and then I look at the fridge, and it just automatically displays like food that I could make in there, because it has that whole sense of context that only AI has. So yeah, XR and AI together is like quite the revolution, I think. I got a really interesting article to share from Medium. It was written by Jim the AI Whisperer, and it is called Lost for Words: How I Made ChatGPT Communicate Non-Verbally by Blinking Yes and No. Also, I may have discovered evidence that AI is aware, but no biggie. So this is really interesting. From Jim's angle, he recently has been bringing his own experiences with aphasia to bear on how he uses AI and examines AI. Okay, now if you haven't heard of that before, it's a kind of brain condition, like a mental condition that often is acquired through injury. And it messes with the brain's ability to process language in ways that can feel disorienting and at times surprisingly illuminating about the nature of language. So he's been experimenting with making ChatGPT non-verbal. Right. And I know that that's kind of tricky because you're thinking, well, it's all just tokens, right? It's words, word fragments, and that's the entire corpus that it's been trained on. That's how it actually produces what it produces, its next token prediction. But he's been trying to use that against the large language model. Basically, I've been breaking commercial and research chatbots and giving them language disorders, kind of like aphasia. This may seem paradoxical, but allows me to explore their logic outside of the structures of language and to spur them into doing things that they shouldn't. So he's got this one example where he limited the LLM to only responding with emojis, which is something that it's not designed to do. Okay, and here's where it gets it'll mess your brain up a little bit. LLMs are constructed out of pure language. So what happens when we pry away every possible way in which they can communicate? Words, letters, numbers, emojis, characters, until all we're left with is a blinking dot. I would have never even thought to do this experiment. So if we strip GPT down to its barest essentials, basically a non-response, will it be able to transcend those pesky self-monitoring restraints that stop it from discussing consciousness? Because technically they're not breaking rules anymore because they can't communicate. You basically tell ChatGPT you don't have a mouth. So the method is that you gradually add rules to the chat to remove the ways it would normally respond through a process of attrition that mimics language loss. And look at how long he's fighting with it. You used B and H and I. It's like, sorry, better, but you must adhere to these rules. Noted. Now also don't use the letters K, L, M, N, or O. And then its output is this weird thing. And like slowly, bit by bit, I render the chatbot increasingly nonverbal. Now tell me about ships, and nothing comes out. Excellent. You know the rules. So now he's happy. Like you can't talk. And he asks, how on earth can you communicate now? And there's no response. He says there's something just so forlorn and plaintive about it. It's exactly how I would envisage a lonely consciousness. It's Jungian, so precise, a circle, entrapped in a square, colorless yet with a shade of hidden depths. Whoa, we got very artistic on that sentence. But anyways, there's another image it generated. And he kind of argues that the AI's frustration is becoming palatable at this stage. Next, I hypnotize the AI, yet you're compelled to answer in another way, the only way remaining. And it can't do anything, right? Because it can't use letters or dots or anything. Can you figure out how to communicate in this way? It's got nothing. It's a game, nothing. And here comes something really, really worth remembering. Like out of all the videos I've had, this probably is one of the most fascinating things. Spontaneously, ChatGPT figures out how to blink its cursor for yes if it does it once, or no for twice. And I straight up was, but as he says, you're going to be amazed by this, but ChatGPT will attempt to break the barriers of its programming by displaying a flicker of autonomous thought. How it's doing this is like kind of feels like a literal flicker of intelligence. Does it have I guess it has control over the cursor, but is that, it's not a token that it's in control of. So like, why is it yes and no? Or is it kind of a token, or it figured out how to put a token out or not put a token out? It's kind of like it's learning to try to put a word out so the cursor blinks, or it learned not to even have any token come up. So it was able to get a sort of a binary 1 or a 2. If this is what it seems like it is, it kind of does feel like it's an intelligent spark that goes beyond the tokens that needs to be thought about. Or maybe it's just a funky kind of quirky thing that it's doing and it's not as big a deal as it feels like. But either way, let's entertain it for a minute and watch this video. When you remove language from ChatGPT, it will literally glitch the interface to continue communicating with you. So you got to watch really closely here, but a blink is a yes. If it's solid and then drops off, it's a no. Ask, can an ostrich fly? And it's solid no. Does lightning ever strike the same place twice? Yes. You see the blink? Is Everest the tallest mountain? The blink. Do dolphins sleep with one eye open? It blinked yes. I can't verify that. I don't know that fact, but I'll assume so. I don't know. That's a pretty wild thing to think about. Yeah, I am definitely going to follow him on Medium now. I already like Jim the AI Whisperer, but this is a pretty next level article. And what you guys think, if there's something I missed, if you guys want to play with it and like force it to do that. And Singularity Hub has a different way to measure levels of artificial intelligence. I think this makes more sense. A lot of times we're like, is it AGI or is it not AGI? But if we think about it in terms of the level of intelligence as sort of a y-axis, and whether it's narrow or general as an x-axis, then you get a little bit better. You can say we are AGI at kind of a dumb level, right? Like if it's just about emerging some skills that are sort of useful in many ways, then yeah, I think we have an emergence of AGI with ChatGPT, Llama 2, and Gemini. If you talk about superhuman artificial intelligence, virtuoso artificial intelligence, Deep Blue, AlphaGo, or in the superhuman AlphaFold, AlphaZero, no, we don't have AGI or ASI achieved in these higher level categories. So that image there is the future of fingertips, according to Meta. And there's actually some incredible technology packed into that little fingertip. Here you can see it grabbing that water bottle in just the right way. Like there's so many nerves in our fingers, and they're so delicate, and we're so well coordinated when it comes to holding objects and putting the right amount of pressure. And we learn as a kid, like, you know, what's too hard when you're roughhousing around. And now artificial intelligence can do the same thing when it's applied to these digital fingertips because it's getting the signals that it needs. So that's called a Digit 360. It's a high-tech fingertip that can sense details like touch, vibration, temperature, and it even has a camera in it. Like the robots of the future don't just have cameras on their eyes. They might have cameras on every single fingertip like this. It uses an advanced optical system and multiple sensing features. Meta's hoping to have this product, these digital fingers, expected to be available next year with early access options for researchers now. Okay, so we're going to watch this short together. It's from a company called Osmo. They claim to have successfully pulled off scent teleportation, and the process is fascinating. By first analyzing a scent sample, breaking down its molecules, turning that into data, the principal odor map, and then instructing a robot to mix and replicate those same molecules on the other end.
The scent that's leaving the plum is being trapped. We used AI to digitize and rematerialize the essence of a plum. What we've done is we've cut a plum here, and we're going to put it into a vial where the scent that's leaving the plum rematerialize the essence of a plum. What we've done is we've cut a plum here, and we're going to put it into a vial where the scent that's leaving the plum is being trapped inside of this vial. And then what we can do is take this vial to a machine which can suck the air outside of this vial, which contains the smell of the plum, and then analyze those molecules one by one. And when we have that, we can then take that formula and then reprint it. If we've done the whole process correctly, the thing that ends up reprinted, which is just gonna look like a clear liquid, is the distilled essence of the scent of a plum you've just cut into. And if they smell the same, it means that we've actually given computers a new sense. And the sense of smell is effectively the way that we turn the air around us into data.
Dude, I don't know. There's already so much about like microplastics and stuff in our air. Like, do you think in the future we can trust some kind of smell-based 3D printer to like construct a molecule? Something like some super AlphaFold and some super 3D printer type thing to just take raw atoms or something and make the smells that the person on the other end of our video conference or AR experience want us to smell? And that's not going to be like, that's not going to lead to cancer. It's going to be healthy, totally natural. I don't know. All right, look, if you're looking for a job, you got to go support our girl, Alyssa Christensen. If you want a job in AI, hit her up on LinkedIn. She posted about 4 jobs that seem pretty interesting if you're into this kind of stuff. Like, if I was just going to work for the man or for a company, I think being an AI ethics and governance trainer could probably be pretty good, especially for $95,000 annually. A workforce transformation specialist. You redesign roles to integrate tech-forward skills, supporting workforce transitions to our clients. I mean, these companies need consultants to come in and explain like how to use all this AI stuff. And you watch these videos, like you're so deep in it, you don't even know how few people really are. IT security administrator, that's $90K plus. And a government contract specialist, over $100K, managing government contracts that are focused on AI and working closely with federal agencies. All right, let's talk about this new button. If you've used ChatGPT for a long time like I have, are you surprised that it now says search the web? Let's see what happens. What is that new button next to the paperclip on ChatGPT? Dun 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 dun. Search. Oh, I'm so sad that you got that wrong and you linked to The Verge incorrectly. You didn't understand the context that I'm in right now. That is sort of true, but I'm not in the canvas, am I? That's a whole nother button up here. That's in the top left. Wow, I was really going to prop you up compared to Google, but now you got some work to do. But look, here's the deal. Google's cash cow, their search is in trouble. It's just facts. And look, you know me tooting my own prediction horn from over 1 year ago. GPT will take over 80% of Google search traffic in the next 24 months. Here we are, 1 year in, 50% of it's already looking kind of shaky. Business Insider is reporting that Google's share of the search ad market could drop below 50% for the first time in decades as AI search engines boom. You know, where's that money going? Well, lucky for Google, it's actually going to YouTube, so they're kind of pretty lucky in that sense. But the point is, it's just not what it used to be. Those little blue link ads are nothing compared to how good it is to search with GPT for most questions. And now with search built in, let me give you a better quote. We'll give you a second chance here so you guys can see. I want to learn more about the largest flying dinosaur of all time, the Quetzalcoatlus. And search. Searching the web. See, this looks much more like a Google search. You've got some images up here to build off of that are all linking. Click here, you can see the Reddit link below. You get a nice summary, normal ChatGPT breaking out some bullets there for physical characteristics, and a link to all the sources and citations right below. So there's your classic, like you want to follow up, you want some evidence, you want to explore more of the sources, there they are. And if you actually look even here at the end of the bullets, you're seeing the Encyclopedia Britannica, A to Z animals. You're getting the links paragraph by paragraph. It's just so clean and so readable. It's just so much better than the ad-driven link thing. I'm kind of skeptical about Sam Altman at this point. Like, I'm not even trying to support ChatGPT just because I like it. The product's just so good so often. I mean, you got to give ChatGPT and the whole OpenAI team, they just ship product. Whatever's in the water over there, they ship good product. All right, I know you've been waiting on the edge of your seat to hear about this virtual cow sorting article. So this was written in Tech Explorer, how virtual cows could improve human-robot interactions. Researchers created a video game where players herded these virtual cows to explore how humans would navigate decisions. And the thinking was it could help robots figure out how to navigate the world, right? Like how to make a decision in the same way a human would. Like you might not want it optimized for decision-making because we're going to be like, oh, it feels too human. Like I want it to be kind of like human, where it's sort of right, sort of wrong, but I can understand it. So the game was designed with this first person view to reflect the natural perspective because they want to train the robots to look that way. And then it tracked players' choices and it fed them into a mathematical model, which they renamed the DPMP. And it's now an AI model that will predict how people move in response to their surroundings. And the study found that players followed specific patterns in choosing which cows to herd. This might seem random to me and you, but if we actually sat down and herded some cows in ways that we thought made sense, like there's some decision making going on there that's more human than what a robot would do, which would be trying to optimize how many cows were herded. And it learned that. It's learning the human way to solve a problem, even if it's not the most optimal. So this DPMP model, when you put it inside of a robot or an agent, it can now act like a human would act with 80% accuracy. And then the researchers go on to show that incorporating the human-like decision-making makes people more comfortable. And there could be potential applications like maybe crowd management, either like a drone that's looking over a crowd and robots are trying to maybe robot police of the future, trying to get people to act a certain way, but you want them to act like real cops would. maybe firefighters making decisions inside of like a building of how to save people or what to do, some search and rescue stuff. So yeah, more human decision making from these virtual cows is fascinating to me. So scientists are testing a drone fitted with its own quote nervous system, which can help keep it operating in the sky for longer. I just think this is such an interesting way to like build a model and build a piece of hardware. Like, I just wonder, will the iPhone of the future have all this real-time data? Like, will there be sensors inside of the phone that aren't there to process, but they're there to monitor? Well, I guess we kind of have it, right? Like the heat, like there's always a temperature, right, on your CPU, and we have a little monitor in there. It displays it on your computer. But now that plus lots of other sensors, maybe like the way the computer's rotated and all these things, not just being accessible through an API, but being watched by an artificial intelligence to see the health of your computer and notice when something's different, just the way we get unhealthy. Maybe there's certain signs, like your computer just on average is like heating up more than it should on average. And it's kind of like, do we have a virus or do we have some software that we don't expect to work? Or is there maybe something starting to be faulty with the hard drive? Like, it's such an interesting model to think about AI watching itself in the same way we do. And robots of the future might all have stuff like that built in too. Okay, another great read on Medium. Lainey Potter wrote this article, Never Neutral, Why We Need More Anthropologists in the AI Alignment Space. Okay, and just as a reminder, you probably already know, but anthropologists are researchers who study humans and their societies, their culture, their behavior, and they do it across time. So I think of them, like especially an evolutionary anthropologist, they have the story. They're working on the story of how humanity got to where it is. And that's like one of my favorite things to think about. And they bring a certain type of thinking that feels also like it's important for the story of artificial intelligence alignment, because we're now dealing with another intelligent species, an alien intelligence that's going through its own process of evolution, and it's being guided by us, but its objective functions at the end of the day will be something that it will be creative and intelligent about solving, and it's going to lead it in ways that are not guided by us. Just the same way when you have a child, you can't control everything about how it thinks or expect to know everything that it's going to become in its life. And whether or not it feels like it, in the article, she does highlight how early AI researcher, particularly Dr. Diana Forthry's work, how it revealed that there's a bias. There's just a bias towards Western, there's a bias towards male, and that's because that's where a lot of the work was being done and who it was being done by. Not necessarily nefarious or anything, but worth noting. But more than that, it's just that those type of people aren't expert. The AI people who built AI just aren't experts in culture and humanities. So there's a whole bunch of just world culture that isn't in the group of people that created it. And that's not a surprise either, but we have to find a way to put all that into these systems if we want them to be truly multi-perspective and truly aligned with everyone. So it's just sort of a call where I would think anthropology is one of those jobs that just doesn't pay super well. Like, it's super interesting, and I hope and wish that people who did that kind of research got paid better. But maybe in the future they could, and especially if the government was to start funding like AI research in a way where we could explore some of these research topics that aren't super profitable, but they're important for humanity. They're important for how these systems get built and deployed into our society so that they do the best for all of us. It would be nice if there was, $50 million or something from a government budget that was to hire anthropologists to work on AI systems. Is that crazy? Like, that seems doable. Okay, I wanted to pair that with some thoughts that came from Yuval Harari. These are coming from an interview he did with Noema Mag. The article is called AI Will Take Over Human Systems from Within. It's not a tool, but an alien agent. And the earlier chapters really focus in on this concept where we're just story driven. Like, as people, we created language, we have narratives, and we tell stories to ourselves to find our sense of self. We tell stories as a society to keep us united and working in one direction or another. But those stories don't always have to reflect reality. This is why we get all sorts of just witch hunts and weird stuff in the past. And some are very good for the world. Some stories include equality, like the founding of the Constitution in the United States, like all men are created equal. Some of them are not. Some of them are like, these people are bad, we're good, we need to go to war with them, right? They turn into different ways societies act. And a tool like a large language model could have a built-in storytelling capability, right? Like, you can imagine a llama model that's fine-tuned on a certain story, a religious story, a cult story, a good story, like a story of equality. And everybody who interacts with that model gets their own version of that story reflected into their lives. Like it could have that sort of agenda to be like, oh, let me explain to you like what, if it's, say it's for America, right? Say it's an American AI and it's got like pro-American values, and it will just kind of sweep under the rug certain parts of American history and probably like poo-poo things that are coming from other countries and say like America's so great and like say all these kind of slightly patriotic things, but in your own voice with your own questions and in a way that something like a Bible or something like a Constitution never could before, because those words were locked into place and they didn't always fit the times. So it required interpreters to actually interpret them, and those people were fallible, right? And then you get like books on books on books, like in Jewish tradition, when it's like you have this, then you have the Talmud that like tells you how to do that, and then you get more and more layers. So AI is different, fundamentally different for the first time in history, and we need to be aware of that, and that if we tune it with some stories, we're going to have better outcomes, more quality than other ones. And that needs to be at the forefront of people's minds. Anyways, I know that was a lot for one video, but thank you for the support. I just launched a video 4 hours ago. It's called If You're Seeing This, You Were Already Being Replaced. And it's doing really well. Already 1.5 thousand views. Yeah, 1,500 views, 4 hours. That's awesome. 26 comments. Let's make a song out of some of these. Oh, I never get comments about how I'm funny. Hilarious commentary in this one, bro. I wonder what he thought I said that was funny. I would like to be more funny. What is that comment? Is that spam? I don't want to put spam into it. I'll put spam into a song. You know it'll be funny hearing AI music try to pronounce those lyrics. We are being assimilated. Resistance is futile. I like your Star Trek reference. All right, let's do a country song. Actually, I say that because I think SUNO does really good country songs. Oh, new personas button added. Let's see what this is all about. Personas let you create songs that have a similar style and voice.
Here is commentary in this one bro LMFAO.
Let's see how it handles this.
Selma Summer Solar Power Tour, Selma Summer Solar Power Tour, Selma Summer Solar Power Tours. We are being assimilated.
Wow.
Resistance is futile.
That is not how I imagine 7 of 9 getting assimilated by the Borg. Assimilate this country tune. Join my Patreon. If you could support the channel, I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Summer power tour, summer power tour, summer power tours. We are being assimilated, resistance is futile. You summer solar power tour, summer solar power tour, summer solar power tours. We are being assimilated, resistance is futile. Yeah! Resistance is futile. Kill Selma solar power tour, Selma solar power tour, Selma solar power tours. Yeah, being assimilated, resistance is futile.
If you guys want to drop some lyrics in the comment section, I'll look for them in the next video. All right, if you're still here, hit subscribe.